Ireland welcomes the OECD recommendation on SME and entrepreneurship policy. It is directly relevant to our economic objectives and policy for recovery and sustainable growth. In Ireland and around the world, we are having to respond with unprecedented speed to the challenges that face SMEs and entrepreneurs today. External events such as COVID-19 and the war in Ukraine have required robust and timely policy interventions to help SMEs and entrepreneurs adjust to new economic challenges. Meanwhile, the acceleration of megatrends such as the transition to digital and green ways of working have also required decisive and forward-thinking policies to ensure that SMEs and entrepreneurs are equipped for the future. The OECD recommendation will support coherent and impactful SME and entrepreneurship policy development to address these challenges. The guiding principles set out in the draft recommendation align with our current priorities in Ireland to deliver concrete improvements in key areas such as SME digitalisation, access to finance, management skills and cluster development. Through implementation of the SME and Entrepreneurship Growth Plan, we are also working to ensure a more cohesive and unified approach to state supports so that SMEs of all sizes and across all sectors receive a consistent level of support, allowing a greater number of them to increase their productivity, competitiveness and digitalisation. Other priorities include internationalisation, applying the SME test to access and potentially mitigate the impact of new legislation on SMEs, and SME access to public procurement opportunities. We can only achieve these objectives through effective coordination and alignment of resources by various actors across government. I welcome the fact that this is a central theme of the OECD recommendation on the SME and entrepreneurship policy. To optimise the impact of the recommendation, I believe it is necessary to implement all aspects given the interdependencies that exist within it. This has certainly been the experience of my department through our implementation of SME and entrepreneurship policy in Ireland. For instance, SMEs will only be able to grow in international markets if they succeed in navigating both the digital and green agenda, have the right management skills, access to finance and other critical elements. Enterprise Ireland, an agency of my department, has responsibility for assisting exporters and potential exporters and has set out several initiatives to create resilient, internationally focused Irish enterprises. We have set an ambitious target to add an additional 2,000 exporters. The SME Growth Plan also highlighted an adequate supply of credit to SMEs through state-backed loan schemes and equity investment schemes as a key action. Climate is obviously high on everybody's agenda, and how we look after our planet now will determine the landscape for the future SMEs. Ireland's Climate Planning Fund for Business is targeted at companies of different sizes and all different stages of their zero carbon journey. The Enterprise Emissions Reduction Investment Fund supports grant aid to reduce the payback period on key carbon reducing technologies for manufacturing. These investments increase the resilience of companies to compete in decarbonised supply chains and puts them on a pathway to net zero carbon. Also aligned with the recommendation, we are collaborating with the OECD to help ensure that entrepreneurship training programmes are more inclusive of different populations such as women, migrants and people with disabilities. When it comes to implementing the recommendation, one key challenge is to ensure a unified approach that brings together all of the actors that play a role in fostering better inclusive and sustainable growth for SMEs. In September 2020, we set up an SME Growth Task Force comprised of all the relevant stakeholders, including ministry and enterprise agency officials, entrepreneurs and business leaders, to deliver a long-term strategic blueprint for SMEs beyond COVID-19. I co-chaired the implementation group, which was established in February 2021, to examine and take forward these recommendations, and again, all the key stakeholders are represented. Through this implementation group, we have identified priority recommendations that we feel have the most potential to make a positive impact on the SME sector in 2022. We have worked hard to ensure a joined-up, holistic approach to implementation involving regular consultation between our department, state agencies and the business community. In the same way, implementation of the OECD recommendation will require effective coordination of the many and varied strands that play a role in national SME policy development. I look forward to continuing our engagement with the OECD and other member countries on these important policy issues. Thank you.